What is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Core Brawl. Tonight, we have two teams that are going to be facing off against each other. The first one will be Desperados, and the second one will be Core Livid. So today, I am Scribe, and I'm joined with me by my co-caster, Mook. How's your night going?
It's been great so far. Looking forward to 4 maps of fun.
Of course, but let's first introduce these first two teams. On the side of Desperados, we have Pray for GG's on the support role, Galaxy on the support role, Wolfer on DPS, Ultra with the secondary DPS, and Garlic and Pills on the tanks. They're basically a team that doesn't really like playing 2CP, but they're coordinated. They like playing payload maps. They've been together for 17 months, or at least their core has been together for 17 months. They indicate they love playing dive compositions, but of course, classic dive has changed quite a bit, or the conditions around classic dive has changed quite a bit with the introduction of the Brigade meta. But besides that, they're just trying to figure out the meta, and yeah, they're super excited to play this game.
And on the other side, we've got Core Livid. One thing I want to know is that both of these teams are fairly well established. In both cases, 4 or 5 of them have been around for more than a year, so they're pretty comfortable with each other. One little wrinkle to that on Core Livid's side is that they're missing 2 of their usual players right now. They lost one to family issues, and one of them, their co-captain, Neosis, isn't out today, so they're going to have 4 of their core team and 2 substitutes, Kel and Ranger Jammy. We'll see how that affects their play. One of those substitutes is going to be specializing in Mercy, and the other is going to be their general projectile DPS. This is Core Brawl instead of a usual scrim. And so because of that, the format is slightly different. We are still going to be doing a 4-map set like the Overwatch League. We are still going to be going hybrid, assault, control, escort. For this, it's set maps for each. We're going to be starting off on King's Row first and then heading to Anubis, and then 2 other maps later. We're going to start here on King's Row as the teams are getting ready and getting set up.
We definitely have seen a lot of different metas on King's Row. A really strong tank meta has developed. Obviously, the GOATs come. Potentially, a lot of teams could be trying to mimic that. What are you going to be looking out for the most, and what should each team be prepared for specifically for King's Row?
What I'm going to be looking out for the most is I think whether or not we end up seeing Pharmacy coming out, especially by Desperados, because I know they like to use that team comp a lot. On this first point here on King's Row, defense or attack, and Desperados is going to start out on defense here. Pharmacy can be an extremely good pick. We saw that in the open division, one of the playoff matches. Karsuno was not doing so well in King's Row. They brought out a Pharmacy on the first point, and they absolutely stomped Goats. One of the few times you can say that.
Yeah, of course, and that's really big. Obviously, Bar and Mercy being one of those aerial threats is a lot harder to deal with, especially if teams started to build more into the single DPS line of composition. So even the no DPS line composition, that range, that area control becomes so much harder to deal with. But on the side of Livid, it looks like they're ready to push straight through Zarya, Hanzo. Basically, they're looking for that exact Dragon Strike into Graviton combination, and they're going to try using Reinhardt Shield to really advance them forward. And this should be a pretty set match, but for long, 8 seconds left on the clock to prep defenses. And what do you think is the first move right here for Desperados?
I'm going to be watching the sniper duel. We're not going to see the Pharmacy on defense coming out from Desperados. We're going to see Badger Milk and Wolfer fighting as Widow, and a lot of times these fights get dependent on who is that first pick as a Widow.
Of course, and right now, Badger Milk is really looking for a side angle. Adalo is just going forward, just presenting his shield, doing a little more. Cypher gets a little more damage onto his shield, and Badger Milk actually takes out Garlic Bread, opening up all the tank lines. There's not enough shields right now. Everyone's hollow around Pills, trying to get back, trying not to die right now. All the healers trying to keep each other alive. Ultra with the shield has high charge, pressuring down Adalo, but Ranger Jimmy trades down Wolfer, and now the red team is going to push in a lot more offense, trying to secure every advantage they can, and Pills will get resurrected and gets taken out by a Sonic Arrow.
And so I really like the cleanliness of that attack from Core Livid. They got the initial pick, Badger Milk pulled it off, and then they just absolutely bullied Desperados off of the point. You see Kel already has Valkyrie up and running. That's because they were taking a lot of damage, but they weren't letting kills get confirmed. So Desperados, I think they need to do a little bit better job of focusing fire. They're going to have a few ults here for this first defense and streets phase, but as they push in, Seifer's almost got Graviton Surge ready.
Yeah, Yeah, both teams will pop infrared sight just to give themselves that little bit of vision. This part of Kings Row is notorious for trying to clip through just because there's so many cores, different admins. But Badgermill taking out Wolfer in the Widow will open up the back lines. The Resurrection will have to be committed. That will be down for 30 seconds. And in the meantime, the tank lines are advancing. Garlic Red Ultra do get the shield up, and they're always moving forward, but it looks like they're trying to back off.
They got the wombo combo ready.
They're looking for the Grappling Surge will come down into the Dragon Strike. It picks up 4, and Badgermill adds up to kill Galaxy for the pin.
The meta currently is defined by that combo you just saw. Whenever you see Zarya and a Hanzo have their ults up at the same time, whenever you think that they have those ults up at the same time, you cannot group up as we see Desperados doing. They wanted to hold the payload as far forward as possible. As a result, Graviton Surge was able to catch 4 or 5 people inside it, and that was a team kill.
They will not be able to contest the car as Desperados is just permanently backpedaling right now. They will make the change as well onto the Hanzo, just to potentially be able to connect. But that means Badgermilk does not have as much confrontation as he did before. He is taking a high ground position. Will drop down just a bit to join the rest of his team. Graviton Surge will be committed from Ultra, but the Transcendence will try to cancel as much damage as it can, and it looks like no one will go down from that engagement. Quantix will be nudging himself out, trying to get himself into a safer position, and now both teams are re-jockeying for position of this corner. Looks to the side of Livid Core playing extremely patient, waiting for that shield to really come up from Addo, and he will have his own. But Garlic Red actually goes down, thanks to Badgermilk again. Great pick.
That was a bit of desperation there, that Graviton Surge by Desperados. They really didn't have anything ready to combo with it, but they used it anyway, just trying to buy a little time. And now as they start coming around this final corner here, Seifer's almost got Graviton Surge already. The Dragon Strike comes out to try to zone it out, and it's just a messy melee on the final point here.
Transcendence will be popped by PrayGG to keep everyone healed up in the background. Garlic Bread going for the charge. The shield will negate as much kill damage on Ranger, but Garlic Bread swinging his hammer, doesn't need it to be in close range at all. Takes down 2 to really stall out the push.
2 kills there with 1 fire strike coming from Garlic Bread. Very well placed. And Livid used a lot of ults on that push. They thought they could win it right there, had a huge timing. Now they're going to have to take a step back. They will have Valkyrie, they will have Graviton. They might try to play poke for a while, try to get Ranger jamming his Dragon Strike so they can win them on another wombo combo.
Yeah, of course, and Badgermilk is looking for the targets right now. He has been on fire, especially trying to get these early picks. But this double sniper comp is making it very difficult for the side of Core Livid to try and push back. To push forward if they can. However, it looks like they're starting to gain ready to commit to this fight. Core Livid pushing in even more with the double sniper. The Grappling Surge will be committed to try to knock them out of the fight. The shield will keep Pills alive, and Adult centered out, isolated out in the back and will not be able to return with the team. Badgermo doesn't care, takes down another pick on the GG's. Pills will trade out as best he can. The Resurrection will be stopped. So there will be no more extension of this fight.
So Livid made the call that they got the early Mercy pick. They figured that 6v5 with no Mercy, they could finish it out there and not have to wait for the wombo combo. So they used the Graviton Surge, and again, not a lot there to combo with it. Garlic Bread did defensive Earth Shatter though, kind of disrupted Core Livid's plans a little bit. Now as they approach this next fight, now they've got a choice between waiting for a long time to try to build up another wombo combo, or maybe they're going to try to pair Earth Strike with the Dragons.
Graviton Surge and Transcendence. Transcendence once again will try to cancel out most of the damage. Wolfer will take down Kells in the process. This just means the side of Core Livid will have to back off once again. Desperados, after a very, very quick, kind of weak defensive hold on the first 2 points, they've now been able to get a foothold.
And I think the difference is that Wolfer is now on Hanzo instead of Widow. And Hanzo is just so powerful in this patch, you almost have to have one, or it's not quite throwing, but you're putting yourself at a major disadvantage. Ever since Wolfer's been on Hanzo, he's been able to disrupt the shields really, really easily, and it's just made Core Livid really struggle to build up those ults and to get everyone in the right position.
Oh, Adolo drops down the Earth Shatter, but not that much effect. The Shaded Dragons will be rolling through the Dragon Strike. Wolfer and Galaxy staying alive in the backlines, and now, once again, Desperados baiting out quite a few ultimates from the side of Core Livid. Core Livid not really finding an answer.
At this point, Core Livid looks a little shook. I think that things started to slip away from them. I think they just really need to regroup. Yes, Brigitte is ulting, every minute or so, just an unending stream of extra armor. Just back off, play your game, get the Surge, Dragons.
Of course, and that counter Earth Shatter right there, Pills making up for the defensive boost as well as some offensive action. Garlic Blade will be responsible for 2 of the kills as Ultra finishes out the rest of the fight, generating pretty high energy. That 4-minute lead that we saw going into the final point does stop at a minute 34 right now. Time is ticking down. The side of Core Livid has a few ultimates they can depend on. Gravity Surge will be up as well as the Dragon Strike very soon. And unfortunately, Pray for GG's still stuck on 55% ultimate.
The mind games here is going who's going to go off the ult combo first. Is either team going to try to bait the dry push? And here it comes.
Yeah, the Transcendence once again will try to neutral, but Wolfer actually gets 2. Both the DPS will go down, so Transcendence not as effective as...
Livid is going to have one more chance here. They are going to have the great combo, the Dragon Search, the combo. They're going to be able to pair those ultimates, but they've got to get Desperados in the right position to do it.
Yeah, and right now Badger Milk trying to find a pick. He's been successful in the beginning of this game, not so much recently, but he'll be trying to look for some angle, some way to just open up the fight. Garlic Bread gets the shield from Zarya. Zarya, that cooldown will be down at a low, trying to move forward as best he can, knowing that Pills is going to play engaging and heavy if they can. The Gravity Surge will go down into the Earth Shatter, and it looks like this was the opening they needed. Core Livid bursts through.
They actually used the Earth Shatter first. They kind of disrupted, I think, Desperados' attempted defense there. They weren't expecting to see the Earth Shatter and the Surge Dragon Strike combo, and now they're going to have to struggle to touch really quickly.
Oh, Garlic Bird will commit that Earth Shatter, trying to catch out someone if they can. Ultra is coming back, trying to do as much damage as possible while trying to stay alive, but 4 people on Car will be more than what Desperados can really handle here as Core Livid finishes the map strong.
That was a good final push. Again, they used the Earth Shatter as kind of a preliminary ult just to make sure that Desperados was going to get fully caught by that ult. Because of that Earth Shatter, Zenyatta did come in with Transcendence for Desperados to try to defend. The Core Livid was able to stack enough damage on top of the Dragons plus the Graviton Surge that Transcendence just got overwhelmed. You see that a lot in this meta. You see people saying, okay, Transcendence basically cancels out or almost cancels out Graviton Surge and Hanzo's ult. But if you do that and something else, even if it's just a Reinhardt swinging his sword madly, you can wipe out everyone. So the game is, you have to be able to be in position to combo things successfully, not just 2 ults plus something else. That's what Core Livid was able to do on that final push. As we come in here for the second attack coming up soon, we're going to see how Core Livid proposes to defend this.
Yeah, Desperados trying to stick with the double snap composition, trying to see success with this. And obviously, this is a composition that provides a lot of upfront damage. It makes it really easy to push through some of these chokeholds here, especially against only a single shield composition. If they're guessing correctly, they're probably thinking Cypher might be rolling out with the Zarya again. That's not as many shields. Now, Ranger Jamie is running the Junkrat on defense. This is an interesting pick considering the rest of the DPS are snipers. How does Junkrat really work in this type of metagame?
So it's a gamble. You're gambling that as Junkrat, you can batter down shields quickly enough and get enough picks, just do overwhelming amounts of burst damage, and you're gambling that that's going to outrace how much you're going to be feeding the other Zarya. Right now, Pills of Zarya, they don't know it yet. They're about to get a whole lot of energy this entire push, and it's going to be, the real game is going to be, is Junkrat's burst damage, is Junkrat's shield destruction worth it?
Yeah, and right now, Badger Milk setting up for the opening pick, and it looks like Wolf just checking to make sure as well. They don't want to, they jump both snipers up on the roof. There gets a little initial pick, Gimme gets initial damage here, and now the side of Core Livid is starting to back up a little more. They're playing safer in hotel room. They recognize that the side of Desperados could be looking for bigger pushes here, and Wolfer actually takes them back, which will open up that high ground defense the side of Core Livid had for them. Good amount of protection. Adelaide, while the dropping shield as well, takes it by Ultra. This double sniper composition, just too much damage right now.
And look at how much energy Pills already has, almost halfway to the ult after 38 seconds. That's because of how much spam damage that Core Livid's committing to. Pills is salivating over how quickly he's going to be able to charge the Graviton Surge here.
Desperados backing up just for a little. They know they want to re-engage. They don't want to lose the fight with an advantage, especially with Pills with high energy. Keeping him alive is going to be a priority. When you're jamming, spamming down the hallway, trying to catch out any flankers that may be running in there. They do recognize that the Hanzo Ultra is going to be staying. The dodge is a very rare snipe, and Badger will actually take the kill right as the side of Core Livid is starting to push in Garlic Bread, taking another kill with a fire shot of Ranger Jamie, but will be traded out instead. Graviton Surge goes down, but Dragon Strike actually pierces through both of them. Ultra gets Cypher and Adelo as well, and now the side of Core Livid is on the run. Desperados able to take out the fight. Both DPS will be dying late. Badger Mill trying to get up a quick kill if he can. Actually takes down Wolfer as his last words.
On the one hand, yes. On the other hand, the fight that I really want to highlight there is Badger attacked Ultra on Hanzo. Ultra used his Storm Arrow, and Badger Milk, as Widow, was still able to beat him. That indirectly forced Desperados to use that ult combo. They would have preferred to be able to take it without it and use it on streets here. Now they're going to be attacking into an ult disadvantage. Might be a while before Pills can regain that Graviton Surge.
Yeah, but meanwhile, they will be able to get some ground going, though. Pills is slowly generating more and more energy, but Ranger will be using that junk tire, and Garlic Bread, only person that's really caught in. Ranger Jamie will be catching out Ultra, and Garlic Bread will be traded out, separated from the rest of his team. The side of Core Livid is backing up. Pills still trying to stay alive. He has high energy right now, looking at 31%. Cypher, you having used that Graviton Surge, will be slightly behind as he has to regenerate the entirety of his ultimate.
So they did invest 2 ultimates in order to get that hold here. They wanted to keep in the choke, even though they're going to get a huge spawn disadvantage. They try to keep it here. Right now, Ultra, as Hanzo, is going to get picked, but he was really looking for that headshot.
Yeah, of course. And this pick could spawn a lot of engagement from the defense right now. They just want to see where they're going. And this chokehold is very, very important for the defense right now. Maintaining the card in there means a lot. And Patrick Milk, he just doesn't lose Widow fights when it counts. Wolfer goes down again.
And Cypher is starting to poke a little bit further, getting a little more bold, not the high energy, really trying to charge the ult really, really quick here. Badger Milk right now is just getting a little bit sassy, going up there up top. Ultra does use the Dragon Strike a little early, a little preemptively. Does help set up the Earth Shatter to get Mercy, but prompts a melee on the point instead of the kind of clean engage they wanted.
Yeah, and Adelaide does counter Earth Shatter to clean up the rest of this fight. 3 minutes left on the clock. Still a lot of time for this first point, but as the defense gets stronger, they will be hitting Cypher's ultimate meter 100% for Graviton Surge as well. But Wolfer actually sneaks a kill on Quantix with that poisonous trap, and now the offense has a little more room to engage. Desperados pushing up slowly. They're looking for a big fight right now, trying to wear down Adelaide's shield, and everyone is just playing backup. Core Livid just waiting for their 6th member to join the fight, and now Desperados actually go on a big flank. Post takes down Adelaide, meaning no shield is available. Wolfer should have free range of sight right now for anyone he can see, but everyone on the side of Core Livid playing out of sight, trying to stall out this fight. But Ultra says no with the kill on Ranger Jamie.
So Livid committed to holding really far forward. They're disengaged. It was a good disengage, but Desperados was just able to hound them away and never let up the pressure. As a result, they're going to take the street space fairly cleanly here, and they're going to just keep trying to push through with the Wombo combo. So that's going to get 2 people, and Garlic's going to be able to take out Badger Milk. That's going to set them up really well. They're up 6-3. However, when Livid does spawn, they're going to have a lot of ults ready to combo. I think they will be able to stop them here on this final corner if they're able to get themselves organized and not panic.
Of course, with 1.8 seconds left on the clock, if they do finish it up, we will still be going to a 2-sided overtime. But Badger Milk just popping off, trying to make sure that doesn't even happen. 3 headshots in a row on Ultra Wolf and Prayer, and he's doing it all the way from a flank position. He jumped onto the ground knowing no one was going to challenge him, and finds 3 picks to stall out the push again.
And best of all, that was for minimal ult advantage. We're going to see here Badger Milk just popping off, getting multiple kills back to back. When your Widow can do that and you only need to invest the Widow ult, that's a great position to start a team fight in. And you see Desperados just falling back desperately. They know they lost that team fight because of Badger Milk. And now because they weren't able to get any ults come out, they're going to hold here with the ult combo.
All right, and they look for Wolfer specifically. Ranger Jamie will get the pick, and they do commit the Graviton Surge as well. But Ranger Jamie picking up a double kill, trading out his own life, though will be able to get a risk from kill in the meantime. So it looks like the side of Core Livid once again able to hold. They did have to commit 2 big ultimates, but Badger Milk making sure that doesn't even matter. Ultra goes down after peeking the corner.
So the win condition here for Desperados, if you look, they're starting to get really close to having a whole lot of ults available. They've only really been using Wolfer's Infrasight so far. They've been stocking up. They've been trying to prompt the ults to come out from Livid, and they're setting up for just an ult storm to try to blow them off the point. What they have to do in the back of their mind, they have to be thinking that they need this with time on the clock. They don't want to go to overtime.
Of course, Earthshatter is committed, and the moment it does, Transcendence comes out to try to negate any of the damage. Garlic Bread is going to be on the defensive. Offensive Transcendence being used to try to get them a little more room. Earthshatter is committed, but doesn't really catch anyone at all. Ultra, though, with the Storm Arrow, does take down Adelaide, and the Dragon Strike as well will wipe the team, and Badger Milk, sensing the danger, just jumps off right now. He does not want to be staggered. There is a potential for one last push, one last defense, though.
Yeah, they're bringing out the stall heroes right now.
Adalo will try to charge onto the car to stay alive, and Sepher is able to continue as well, but Ultra actually gets taken out with the drug tire, and Sepher actually trades out the tank on the front line as well. Wolfer, though, is now pushed back, put in a position, and despite the offensive advantage that he had, they're actually going to have to try one more time.
It's an amazing last-ditch defense. You see the Moira, you see the Lucy, you see the Genji and the Tracer coming out. Livid was probably just thinking they just want to milk as much time as possible to not be under a time-based disadvantage, but they want a team fight. And now it's Desperados that's in a very desperate situation. They've got one push left and no one else to do it with. They're going to be trying to get Garlic Bread his Earthshatter as quickly as possible with some of these fire strikes.
Yeah, and right now they will be facing Sephiroth's Graviton Surge, which comes down, trapping both tanks. Phillips actually will trade out Sephiroth himself. Garlic Bread gets run into the wall, will be taken out as well. This doesn't seem to matter. The side of Desperado, using their offensive capacities, are just tearing through the side of Olympic core. And poor Livid, though, with the Earthshatter misses, doesn't really click up anyone at all. Badger Nook, with the Tracer trying to do just a little more harassment on the back, trying to stall them out as best they can. Graviton Surge from Phils will be committed as much damage as they can. Transcendence is there to try to close out the rest of this fight. Garlic Bread adds to the man advantage, taking out one more, and it looks like the side Desperados, when it counted in overtime, have control of the cart, and as much as Rainer Jam will try to stay alive, there will be no one left to contest besides a Doomfist, but even then, that's not nearly enough.
So these two teams about as even as can be. One took it in overtime, one took it with 2 seconds left on the clock. The MVP of that last fight was Pills for Desperados on Zarya. After her Rhine went down, they just took control of the fight. They had high energy, but they stayed alive, almost more importantly. They ulted, pulled a few members of Livid off the point, but more importantly, they were able to jump in and get damage done by themselves. Just a desperate struggle on both sides there in the last push. So as we go into the second attack, it's going to be interesting to see if either of them change up their compositions, change up their approaches. Both of them can point to good and bad things about that first set of attacks, though. So both of them might be tempted to just stick with what they know.
Yeah, looking at the team composites right now, we are seeing slightly more dive coming out on the side of Desperados, who will be taking the first offense with the reduced amount of time. Obviously, when in regular rounds, you have a lot more time to work with. If you have 1 minute left, do you think this type of competition is the best way to do it?
I think it's got a good chance. You know that they might be baiting out. I don't think Garlic Bread's really going to be attacking this in that turn, for example. But if you want to run a dive, you're really committing to being able to win the first fight or to outlast them on the first fight. A dive comp doesn't really have that much all-day staying power. What they're looking for is to get to Kel really, really quickly. Keep your eyes on Kel and how well they're able to evade the dive.
All right, and now Desperados rolling out in a dive position. They're trying to get Ultra on the Genji. They're looking out for as much as they can get. We'll all jump high ground right now to get the intended rotation in. They will leave Wolfer and Prade for GG's on the flank side. Wolfer trying to bait out his enemies, trying to figure out the enemy's positions. They do recognize they're hiding on the other side of Hotel. Badger Milk trying to find a good position, but Ultra's actually on the flank, looking for an angle right now. They dive into the background. Badger Milk will get the shield for now. Garlic Bread actually trades out Quantic, but Badger Milk still alive in the background, takes down Wolfer, and now that charge clips Ultra as well. Garlic Bread and Pills, the two tanks, will be able to start trading out, and because of the positioning, how they were separated, the side of Desperados looks like they might be able to confirm first point A.
The question is, how far are they going to be able to get in Streets phase against this kind of composition? It's going to be an interesting set of pushes. The dive did work. One of the big problems is that Pills was really having a little bit of trouble as Diva, but it didn't really matter. Seifer was also struggling as the off tank for Core Livid, not really building charge quite as effectively. But when you start off a fight with a Zen pick on a Tracer, that's a good omen.
Yeah, and looks like Desperados needs to be careful. Luckily, the payload has not escorted themselves past the gate, so they still have some, some sort of proximity advantage here when you compare it to Core Livid. But Core Livid trying to do as much damage as he can. Garlic Bread jumps in the background, drops his shield, but will drop himself instead, overextending. And now the rest of Desperados will just trying to stop the engagement coming in. The Earth Shatter will come down. Ultra is captured, and the Ground Surge just to wipe the rest of the fight. Pray for GG will use Transcendence to try to get someone back, but the Resurrection, I believe, is stopped from Galaxy. If Galaxy even tried to commit it at all, now they're just trying to stay alive onto the point. Transcendence is capitalized, is used on just to close out the rest of the fight. They want to burst down this Primal Rage. Winston, if they can, Dragon Strike actually comes over as well, but Ultra and Pills just trying to keep this fight alive with the shield. Quanix will actually die instead, and now Pills back into the DMX, just hiding damage. And this is actually starting to get a little bit problematic because both supports are going to come back in, but Adolo able to keep everyone alive and knocking down two other supports as well. Ultra not able to cut off that last Dragon Blade.
Very noble effort by the Desperados supports there. Going into that last fight, after they got into the arches, for a long time it was just Mercy and Zen alive on the point under those arches. They stayed alive for a good 15-20 seconds. That map could have and arguably should have ended right there. It didn't end up mattering because they weren't able to get more than a tenth of a meter or so past that staying alive feat. But very good survivability show by the two Desperados supports. But now with the cart where it is, now Desperados is in a pickle because it's really hard to hold there. Desperados did just get held there, but if you give up the first point, you can't give it up by a lot. You have to barely lose it, barely be pushed off. Otherwise, you're not going to have time to get back to the payload in time to hold at the arches. So in the back of their mind, Desperados has got to be thinking, we can't afford to get team killed no matter what. And with only 1 minute and 1 second, it's going to be really hard for Livid to be able to build the kind of ult combo that would get a team kill. But a long, prolonged fight on the first point there, I don't think that's going to go to Desperados' favor.
Well, it looks like both teams, actually only one team actually, the side of Desperados, will be running that Graviton Dragon Strike combination that's so valuable in longer team fights and when you have ultimates up for longer. The side of Core Livid, though, advancing Badger Mill, just looking for a quick pick. He's been very good for those. He has the ability to really cage them into these closed areas. He knows he has the strategic advantage, and now Badger Mill is slowly trying to rotate over. Meanwhile, his team, though, starting to step on point, forcing the side of Desperados to really contest for a little more. Cypher starting to build up a relatively high energy count, and the shield from Garlic actually gets knocked down, and they're actually stuck way into hotel room, but Ranger Andy and Adalo actually find kills right through that quarter.
Here's the danger zone.
Oh man, the Galaxy does manage to get the res regardless. Garlic goes to the charge, unfortunately is taken out, and now everyone is in full retreat. Like you said, this is very close to a team. Like actually, the majority of the team actually have really bad spawns. They're actually all the way back by the 5-point C.
And now Livid, they're going to be trying to push forward here. They're going to be trying to keep Desperados away from the point, hold them off long enough to get it on. I'm surprised that Livid only has one person on the payload. I would expect them to be pushing a little bit faster right here.
Yeah, it looks like the rest of the team will actually make it up just in time, but will they even be able to stop it? No. Yeah, they were just too far away, and Galaxy wasn't quick enough to sneak in on its own, but that match will go to the side of Core Livid. Honestly, it looked like very close game from either side, and one ultimate or another could have meant the difference. But you have to start thinking about how dominant it could have been for Core Livid if they, if they managed to finish that first push they had.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think the credit for that goes entirely to the intelligent switch to get on Hanzo, who's the dominant feature in this meta. So Wolfer's swap there on the third point of the first attack, I think held that as long as he did for Desperados. I think the big difference on the second set of points was, again, how did you lose? Did you lose by a little or did you lose point A by a lot? In this case, Core Livid lost by a little. They were able to quickly regroup and hold onto the arches. Desperados lost by a lot and were never even able to get back to the point. So we're going to be going to Temple of Anubis next, where it's time for the 2 CP map, which pretty much every team says they hate more than any other, but we're going to see it anyway. How do you feel about Temple of Anubis?
I think it's great. And honestly, it's very exciting, especially with the sniper action we did see. I mean, Temple of Anubis, 2 CP maps in general are very strong for Widowmakers just because using the momentum from picks as well as the various high grounds all around the map make that map awesome for sniper duels. And we're going to see a lot of them here. Wolfer, though, was a strong Widow, but we have to talk about Badger Milk, who kept his team consistently in these fights. He was going off sometimes on defense if he needed to. But how do you counter that if you're on the side of if you're on the side of Desperados right now? You know Badger Milk's probably going to be running the Widowmaker on Temple of Anubis. What's your next step? How do you beat it?
So you've got a few options. The first option is to have a better Widow, and that's really a good option if you're in this position. Second option is to keep everybody behind shields at all times. That really cramps the style of your main tank. It's pretty hard to pull off. The last option is to be able to pressure and bully the Widow. So you need things like dive tanks, you need Winstons, you need Divas, and those have real troubles in this meta because of how prevalent armor is. So it's a bunch of bad options if you're attacking into a really good Widow on this map. We are actually going to see Desperados attacked first this time, though.
Entering the Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, and it looks like Desperados attacking first means that we will see Badger Milk on the defense. But immediately looking at this rollout right now, Orisa has been locked in. Orisa, a very strong tank choice for 2 CP maps based on the fact that she can effectively infinitely generate shield, especially since a lot of these 2 CP maps have quite a bit of runway before the offense is able to collide with defense. Orisa has that ability to keep shields up alive. And yeah, it looks like they're going to bring out the Hog as well for Orisa Hog. How do you break such a, this is a pretty stout defense from the side of Desperados, from the side of Core Livid. How is Desperados looking to break this?
It is. I think one of the key things is that they're going to be also bringing a Mei. So they're dedicating themselves to kind of a stall tactic even before the start of the map. One thing I would really like to see here is I would like to see a Pharah. They have no way of knowing it right now, but once Desperados pokes a little, gets a little bit of intel, I would love to see Ultra swap over to a Pharah, bring out the pharmacy, and at that point, your only real counter is Badger Milk. If you can keep away from Badger Milk's line of fire, or if you can bully her away from you, Pharmacy is going to have a dominant reign against this kind of defensive comp. It does look like Core Livid is going to be playing the, oh, that's why they brought Mei, so they could set up on this high ground here. You see that a few times, and Ranger Jammy is going to be heading back to point really quickly, going to swap from Mei onto Junkrat. So that's the plan. You've got the setup here on the high ground above the point. You don't see it every time, but when you do, it can be a real surprise.
Yeah, of course. And this was definitely featured in the Overwatch team fairly early on in the Temple of Anubis meta, but they're going to be running against a dive composition, and already the side of Desperados definitely recognizing the threat, and Badger Milk behind the shield is probably the most intimidating thing you're going to be facing all day. Pray for GG's gets headshot, and immediately you can tell that the side of Core Livid is a little bit scared right now. They recognize that Badger Milk will be giving a lot of protection from the Beast Shield. They will be trying to flank from the side. Ultra, in the meantime, trying to go for the big flank, and Badger Milk does call him out on it a little bit, doesn't see the Genji, and immediately the rotations start happening. Badger Milk and Adalo are the only people on their high ground, and in the background, the dive will occur from Garlic Bread and Pills, and Garlic Bread gets the first kill on Quantix, so meaning they were able to slow it down. Badger Milk trades Zenyatta, but in the meantime, though, the rest of the tanks of Core Livid are just going to get honestly separated from their backline as Quantix and the support line is swarmed by Garlic Bread and Pills.
So Kel goes for the optimistic res on the Zenyatta there. Because they got split up between the two different high grounds, it was going to be hard for anyone but Kel on Mercy to be able to pull off a mutual support, and it doesn't quite come off the way that they had hoped for. So Desperados does a very good job of breaking this comp. I think it's almost as much down to Core Livid letting themselves get manipulated out of shape, though.
Yeah, of course. You want to be static on that offense, though, on that defense, especially when you don't have as much mobility after you set up initially. But it looks like Adela will be switching on to the Reinhardt here to try to give themselves a little more room. Reinhardt's area is pretty strong on this map, especially if you know you can survive through the spam and really take down a lot of damage. But in the meantime, though, Badger Milk actually switching off the Widowmaker, going for the McCree choice, better for close range engagements and really getting that counter down. He knows the Wolfer and Ultra have both been pests in this this backline. And Adelo watching this. Both of the dive tanks are just looking right now. Garlic jumps into the backline, and Ultra is actually going to commit the play, but he gets traded out with the Riptide. Great defensive play from the Adelo. Gets the charge and able to separate Garlic Bread in the background, trying to deal with Ranger. The Stepper is still on point, keeping them off, but in the meantime, Wolfer actually manages to stay alive. A DPS who has not been confronted at all. Garlic Bread commits the Primal Rage to knock them off of the point. Kill will get the res, but gets taken immediately out by Wolfer. And now Core Livid, though, staying alive on the point just briefly, but this is almost all about Desperados, but Ultra will be the last survivor for now. Badger Milk trying to do as much as he can. Actually gets taken out, but that will be enough to force Desperados back.
86.4% of the point in the first push. It's hard to argue with that. So what I thought was going to be happening is that they were going to be using all of their ults as the dive and then switch off, but they had so much success with it. Oh, and Diva's going to lob a speculative bomb in here, try to clear the Widow off, perhaps. Or, not the Widow, but clear out things. It does land on the upper ground where Widow would be if she existed, but Widow isn't here anymore, man.
Yeah, of course, the big change is going to be important. Ranger Jamie switching off onto the Brigitte just to give it a little bit of an armor advantage. And now the triple support is really going to town. Fonte is going to get some hiding around from Ranger, but Adelo D-Max pills. And in the meantime, the Badger Milk is able to clean up the rest of the fight. The rest of the fight composition is very displayed, very defensive. But he's in trying to get some more connections there. He's building the pathway for Ultra. And now Galaxy trying to commit super hard for the Elan is able to temporarily escape. But this dive composition is really being held at bay. They're actually getting centered off into these closed areas, and they're not using the mobility at all.
The bad news right now for Desperados is that Ranger jamming on Brigitte is already at 75% of ult. Once that ult train starts to roll from Brigitte, once everyone starts to get a lot of armor up, it gets exponentially harder for a dive comp to get anything done. The more armor people have, the more poke damage heroes like Genji, like Tracer, they're not going to have a good time here. I think the swaps have to start coming out now from Desperados.
Yeah, Wolf right now will make the change onto Hanzo. We saw this pick work wonders for them before on King's Row, and now they're going to try this again. Maybe try to get the Graviton Surge, Dragon Strike combination at the end. Oh, the Earthshatter is committed and doesn't, once again, not really very impactful. This one catch up with anything, but Badger Milk will use a Deadeye on the Garlic Bread, and Adelo will trade onto Galaxy as well as the side of Core Livid really being dispersed pretty fluidly. They're having a very solid defense against this dive composition.
Absolutely, and now you do see Garlic Bread swap over to Reinhardt as well. So yeah, Desperados, they just wanted to get rid of a lot of ults. Ultra died as Genji before getting his ult. He's just going to swap to Junkrat and just accept the ult as a loss. I think that's the smart play at this point. You're going to need a Junkrat to break through this defense.
And Desperados rolling in, waiting on quite a few ultimates right now. Dragon Strike and Graviton Surge will be on the menu for this next fight. There's 2:53 remaining onto the clock right now. The rest of Core Livid trying to stay alive in the background. Badger Milk peeking out right just to see how much information you can get. Sees the entirety of the team there, but they recognize in the background Wolfer still trying to take pot shots. Ranger Jamie's attention is going to be split. Will not be able to immediately commit any shield whatsoever, and now his entire tank line is going to be down. Ultra and Carlos on side. Desperados rolling in hard, and Transcendence will only keep the support alive. Badger Milk is doing his best to stay alive. He has carried this team before, and he's actually finding kills in the process and in the chaos, able to turn the fight completely.
And that's a very disappointing outcome there for Desperados. You have to think that after they went up 6-4 with the wombo combo coming, they were going to be able to pull that out. Instead, Core Livid is able to resettle. They do a great job, especially Canex on Zen, of just prolonging things and not letting any more people die after they lost the first two picks.
The side Desperados trying the right side push again. They have confidence as will succeed this time, but Pills does not have the Graviton, and they're going to commit the Dragon Strike early just to clear the point and into a Riptide. This is just so everyone has spread out even more. Ultra catches out at a lull, but Badger Milk trading out the enemy DPS as well will stay alive despite a hammer hit from himself. Ultra takes down Ranger Jamie, and the rest of the tank line is vulnerable right now. Semper trying to stay alive, but an Earth Shatter will catch Badger Milk and his pesky friend Kel, and that will be enough to knock all the side of Core Livid off of the point. Desperados able to take Temple of Anubis with 1 minute and 46 left.
And again, both teams are going to find positives and negatives from that set of plays. I do find Desperados' use of ultimates on that last point interesting, though. Because they started out with 2 ticks, they knew they didn't have to win the classical 2 CP ultra fight. They only had to win once. It was all like a normal point or the first point of a usual map. So they weren't feeling the spawn advantage quite as badly because they only needed that 1 tick. As a result, you saw the Dragon Strike be used for zoning instead of being held for the major combo. They didn't need a team kill. They just needed to clear out the point long enough to get the last tick, as they did.
Yes, and right now with a minute 26, that's still a good amount of time on the clock for 2CP. Normally, we do see a lot of teams start dropping into that low minute, but we have also seen a lot of teams snowball this lead, which is what the side of Core Livid will be looking to do. Badger Milk, he's back on the Widowmaker again. We saw him on the McCree, and we saw he was very equally as effective on the McCree. For Badger Milk himself as a Widow player, what does he have to look for? What does he have to be careful about? How is he going to really help his team snowball this?
He has to be careful to not have done to him what he was able to do to the other team. Desperados is doing the exact same defense. They're setting up on the high ground to the right of the point here. Wolfer is starting to scout out points, figuring out where they, as Widow, want to set up. So I think it's just how quickly are Core Livid going to be able to recognize that, hey, it's the same defense we ran. And will they be able to come up with the same good answer to it, or will they get split off again? I am nervous about Pray for GG's Zen being on the other side of the chasm. If Core Livid can recognize that in time and dive him, it's going to be hard to recover.
Yeah, we do see Pills with the Diva though, so both Diva and Ultra does make the jump over just to keep him safe for a little bit. Badger Milk is going to start, just drifting around, trying to look for some general line of sight and maybe just looking for some specific angles. Is he actually going to run back?
I think it's a recon run. I think they're trying to just get intelligence about the composition right now. Now, yeah, swapping to Tracer, doesn't want to try to play Widow into this defense. Smart change.
Yeah, but right now they do have control of the left stairs on their side. So Pray for GG is going to be actually pressured a little bit more with Ultra as the entire team starts their slow rotation. Pills will also be mutating over along with Galaxy, who jumps along with the Guardian Angel. They have reinforced the stronger spike, but they're still facing a man deficit. In the meantime, the Badger Milk back on the point, actually forcing everyone down. Garthbert actually jumps down and has to commit. There's no shield on the high ground anymore. But meanwhile, Wolfer will be solo, does get enough damage on himself to really help it out. And right now, there's a lot of DPS on the point, and Ranger Jamie is creating quite a few openings with the help of Badger Milk. Wolfer will be on the contested on the high ground, and they both bring back the Orisa on Garlic Milk just to keep their competition up.
And so one of the hazards of that defense is that Orisa is the only one who can't get easily between high grounds. And as a result, when you isolate them, as the 2 DPS from Core Livid were able to do, she's going to melt. What you have to hope for as the defender in that situation is that you can hold on long enough to get a res off, as they did. So now they aren't quite able to reset that defense because, again, they don't have a Mei to get back on the high ground, but they're doing the next best thing, leaving Orisa on the low ground with players on both high grounds there as kind of the twin pillars of the defense.
Goes to the side of Desperados, really giving them a lot of respect. They recognize that they have a man advantage for a little bit, but they start not pushing past the bridge. They're playing extremely defensive, and Pills and Ultra will be the first line of confrontation here. They want to deter anyone moving through that upward tunnel. They want to prevent anyone from getting higher control of the contest wall, and that Riptide will be actually committed. And Ranger Jamie and Badger Milk actually find openings in the backline. The Tire is still looking for a target, but not able to catch anyone yet. Actually catches both supports with great patience, but Cypher and Badger Milk right now able to get the D-Mech if possible. And well, that bomb actually kills 2. Ranger Jammy and Cypher both will go down as the team is still able to hold.
And Canax was just barely missed that Riptide. It managed to land a few more shots on that Riptide and pull it off. I think we'd be talking about, well, how are they going to defend point B now? But because of those misses, sometimes an entire match hinges on just a few shots like that. Heartbreaking, but that's Overwatch.
And right now they're coming to a very offensive position. Badger Milk was able to get a pull off of the point, committing the res, but Ranger Jammy trying to take advantage of this lack of resurrection to really chase down the backline targets. Dragonblade is committed, only taking enough pills, and now Cypher himself will try to capitalize with this Diva Ball. Actually catches 2 also. Galaxy both go down. This is payback for the last round.
I don't say this often, 9,000 IQ play from Ranger Jammy as Genji. I don't know if you saw it, but the Diva Ball self-destruct, it landed on the point. Orisa put down a shield to block it. Ranger Jammy ran into his own mech, pushed it just outside the shield, and that's what let them get 2 kills with that self-destruct. That's what let them take the first point. Amazing game sense.
Yeah, and this will be big for them. This does give them, a great opportunity to move forward. 4 minutes 27 on the clock just to engage, and they are making a few ultimate switches right now. Cypher will be going off on. Actually, everyone's actually swapping off. Out of like Ranger Jammy and Cypher will be switching off into a completely different composition. Badger Milk still the only person who is going to keep with this ultimate because he has that pulse bomb available. He is in the back lines, actually pretty deep right now, and it does not look like, anyone else on the side of Desperados really knows he's there. And if he gets a kill here, this will be big. Badger Milk still running there. Actually spots out Porter and GG's 6 Galaxy. Galaxy actually goes down in the background, and now this fight should be starting at a low. Gets Pills with the fire strike, and now Garlic Red trying to do as much as he can, but that Reaper switch makes sure that they are not able to snowball very easily, taking out all the tanks. Wolfer just trying to get some spam damage and maybe try to catch out target if he can. But the side of Core Livid, though, staying alive, presenting enough presence. 4 people onto point. They do spot out Galaxy on the Lucio, but Badger Milk keeping the stall, going actually on the side of the offense. They're just trying to make sure no one can even contest in if possible. Favor GG's will be ignored, and Wolfer and Favor GG's are playing a certain side of the point right now. They are playing the left side, trying not to die, but Badger Milk will pick up this guy from afar. Wolfer himself actually gets picked up by a pulse bomb as well as this guy starts to devolve. And even though the side of Core Livid, it's such a great initial team fight, the Pender spawns are just too much in 2CP.
And Galaxy just got up above the point right next to the giant statue. Just kept on tap and jump, just kept on wall riding up there. Weren't able to put him down. Part of that's because of, it's a really hard position to hit him in. Part of it is because the rest of the Desperados were really, I'll say, distracting to Core Livid, but that was a really long solo hold.
And Riptire will be committed now just to get a quick pick before this next fight. Maybe just to build the ultimate advantage if possible. And yeah, the side of Core Livid is able to get that stop there, make sure that no one dies. And now they're down to their next push. But Badger Milk makes the big change, so he will be playing Era, and he's trying to look for a back range. Actually gets all the way back, spots out Prey G for GG's. Now Galaxy G's are going to be stuck into the weak side. We're right into Graviton Surge. Ranger Jimmy does get the first kill on the Garlic Red. We'll trade out Ultra and now this fight is the ball. Urge Scatter is used to bring down much of the Desperados. Garlic Red will try to get the target, but he's solo now. And now as the rest of the team is swinging the sword onto the point, Pills gives himself just enough armor and moves to try to contest, try to stall, try to stay alive, building some more time. This need another miracle play, but there's just not enough time as Galaxy cannot get back to stall with his Lucio.
Yeah, and I really do like the pick of Jammy going on to Reaper. You don't see him a whole lot, but against these really beefy compositions, he's got a good role. Wolfer, though, that Riptire was kind of a speculative one. It was to give him a chance to switch heroes, but he kind of held off on what hero he was going to switch to until somebody on his team or he himself called out that the Pharah was the play coming out of the other team. As a result, he went to Soldier instead of what he might have been thinking a Hanzo instead. So intelligent switch just didn't quite come off for him.
Yeah, of course. And, because the side of Core Livid was able to finish with just a little bit more time, Desperados will be on the clock first with 1 minute 26 to try to take as much as they can. They will be playing the same dive composition that we saw before, but if Badger Milk is able to get going, and right now Ranger Jammy is actually playing Brigitte, is this Brigitte comp something you need to be worried about for playing into dive?
It is, because if you just land wrong near her, you're going to get deleted. If you're a Winston or if you're a Tracer, if you're a Genji. If you're going to dive into Brigitte, you have to come at her from multiple angles, and you've got to know she's there or you're going to get surprised. So the first attack may get blunted, but if so, it's the second attack that's going to tell us what's going to happen to Desperados here.
Yep, inside Desperados will be rolling in with that dive composition, as you mentioned before, but instead of playing a very high ground position, Core Livid is actually playing more onto the bridge itself, trying to give less space if possible, and Badger starting to rotate back when he sees the enemies are engaging. They're trying to go for the same high ground control they did before, recognizing that's probably the best way to do it. They will toss out the Spider Mine just to get some little more vision. Garlic will run over and Ultra right now, seeking out his target. He wants to dive on Badger, and Badger Milk in the background gets a kill. Garlic Red, unfortunately, is actually not able to get killed. Ultra's not able to chase after him, but meantime, on the point, the Desperados are able to clean up the fight, but let's not put it too far behind from them, as the side of Core Livid is able to stay alive, and Badger Milk actually catapults himself into Brave for GG's for the headshot, and now both sides are playing threes, but Garlic Bread will actually extend the man advantage, starting to take the fight to them, and both tanks will be the last to drop, but Desperados, though, able to get that quick dive kill.
Yeah, and that was just the spawn advantage coming out. The team fight was a fairly even trade. When you have so much less to go from the attacker spawn, that's how it happens. However, the thing to look for here is that Desperados doesn't have a lot in the way of ults. Will have Pulse Bomb. Seifer's about to have Graviton Surge. I think they'll be able to hold this here. I don't like the first push's chances of taking the point.
Well, they have 30 seconds left to really take this. It looks like this might be their last fight. They're going to jump onto the background, force Kel out of position, and Pills actually tries to follow up as well. But in the meantime, though, Kels is just staying alive thanks to all the shielding and healing that's going on. Badger Milk and Adelo were actually able to knock off the rest of the backline, and there is no die that is available. Ultra will be staying alive, but it looks like they're just trying to stagger him if they can. 8 seconds left on the clock. Ultra is backing off. He does have the potential to potentially touch and extend overtime, but he has to be going right now. Will touch just in case, and the Dragon Blade will come out into the Transcendence, but Graviton Surge brings everyone close together. They do not have to aim when it's just at the center of the ball.
And Primal Rage Winston versus Brigitte. What a one-on-one duel. So we're going to see a long stalling attempt to just salvage something, salvage a first tick. The kills are coming out with enough frequency that, Core Livid's going to hold this second point here.
Yeah, and of course, overtime still going because Wolfer was able to stop it, but with his death, he will be the last one to go down. Overtime is completed. They had 1 minute 26, and they were able to take point one with 1 minute 56. Having seen this defensive performance from the side of Core Livid, what are you thinking right now? Is this possible to do in 156?
I think it is possible, but I think the key is going to be similar to what we saw in Kings Row. It's not enough to win the first point. You have to win it with style. With the amount of time that's left, you really want to have at least 1 or 2 good ults ready for your first push on to point B, because you got to take a first tick. Otherwise, we could see a draw here, and nobody wants to see a draw. You want to see one team win cleanly. Draws are, the old joke is kissing your sister. It's not much fun to watch a draw. It's a real feels bad after this much effort, 2 pushes back to back. So nobody's going to be, I think, playing for the draw here. And as the comps are starting to come out, well, it looks like they are going to be trying that high ground defense once more. Desperados are. And on the side of Core Livid, I'm seeing the Hog.
Yeah, the Hog.
It's the Slambulance.
The triple tank composition, the 3-3, and this is, built for a lot of damage, a lot of healing, a lot of sustain for these pushes. And, they are going to be lacking some of this flank ability. We saw people were able to deal with this high ground. Ultra, was able to use his Genji to really crawl into the background here, and it looks like that will not be an option, though. And meanwhile, with the rest of the team, Ultra will try to get back as fast as he can with the jump grab play.
And dare Desperados to push him.
Yeah, the rest of the tanks are speeding in, and right now they're just sitting onto the point right here, just trying to bait them down as much as they can. Pill's trying to stay alive, just trying to contain them if they can, and now this is the fire down. Pill's actually gets a kill on the Badger Milk, and the rest on the side of Desperados just raining damage from above. Even though the side of the triple tank, triple support is very strong right now, they are presenting themselves a little too much to them, but the fight is turning. Ranger Jammy with the Brigitte is able to get a few trades. Pose will be knocked out of the mech himself, and the sustain here from the so much support healing in the background is allowing the side of Desperados to actually force Desperados to try to make these bigger kills, but Core Livid, though, able to reinforce the point from themselves, taking the point.
Galaxy did an excellent job as Mercy, keeping Orisa alive for long enough, but now Jam is going to pop the Brigade ult, going to give everyone a lot of armor for this first push. This is going to be a tight one. Adelu is going to have Earth Shatter. That's going to be the key ult they're going to be looking to hit. I'm not sure if Seeker is going to have time to charge the Graviton Surge.
All right, and they're pushing in. Adelo with the Earth Shatter is looking for a good opportunity. Riptire is committed, and Cold Lessons will be used to keep everyone alive, but both supports will go down. That is the core of the 3-3 right now. The rest of the team will be trying to back off. They recognize they have 1 push left in them, but the ultimate timers are going to be big. Brave for GG's will have Transcendence this next fight, and even the rest of the team will be ultimate list. That will be a big opportunity, especially if Cypher gets a big Graviton Surge off.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing to watch is, are they going to be able to catch Desperados clumped up enough to make one of these two critical ults, Earth Shatter and Graviton Surge, are either or both going to catch more than, I'd say, 2 people. I think that's the win condition for this fight.
All right, and that triple tank is pushing in big. The hook almost lands, doesn't really pull anyone there. Paper GG's off on a corner, and Wolfer does get the kill. Transcendence will be committed to keep everyone alive, and this fight is very even right now. But remember, defender spawns make this a lot harder to take. And for Livid, though, not able to push through Desperados' defense, they're going to give this up with 7 seconds left on the clock. And like you said, it looks like we're gonna have to kiss our sisters. We're gonna hit a tie for Temple of Anubis.
That's a little bit disappointing. So, said the win condition was being able to catch a lot of people. Cypher actually was able to catch people in the Graviton Surge, but the rest of their team got pushed off into the low ground, into that ditch ahead of the point. So there was really not a lot of offense. I think even if the Transcendence hadn't come out, that they would have survived that. So just a good amount of booping going on.
And this triple tank, triple support composition is extremely strong. We saw its sustained power on point A during overtime. Is this a composition we will likely be seeing on our later maps? For Control, we have Legion Tower coming up in Escort, our final map of this 4-map series. If it does not go into a tiebreaker, will be will be Nepal. And the 4th map will be Route 66. Are any of these maps specifically triple tank, triple support composition maps?
Yes and no. On Legion, you can see it on some of the maps. On Route 66, maybe, but triple tank in this meta is strong enough that you can bring it pretty much anywhere, and it's not going to lose you a map. So it's not overpowered, I'll say, on the remaining maps here. It's just a solid option. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see it. I wouldn't be surprised if we finally saw the pharmacy come out from one of these teams. I'm hoping we get to see Control Center, because that's usually a really fun point to watch.
All right, and as we're going into this map right now, this is, for series score, this is a must win, I believe, for the Desperados, who are, if they do lose this one, this means that the series will go to the side of Livid, just because, they won the first map and tied the second one. If you're going to make adjustments right now, we have mentioned Badger Milk obviously being the big player here, but Adelo has been getting, and Adelo and Ranger Jammy have both been actually adding a lot of value with their versatility, especially with very solid Reiner play, and obviously Ranger Jammy being able to flex so much. What are you going to do on the Desperado side? Who has to step up to really shut them down here?
I think they just need to settle on what strategy they want to use and dedicate themselves to it. I'm mostly going to be looking at Wolfer here, just because Wolfer as a Hanzo or as a Widow, that's the person who has to shut down Badger Milk. If you can shut down one of their main threats like that, then the rest can kind of come, I'd say.
All right, and then we're right now entering the game. We're going to enter in the map, and we're going to check out what our first round of Legion Tower will be. And it looks like,
Control Center!
We're hitting up Control Center right here, and this could be very interesting. This map favors a lot of tank play, and because of the kind of arena death ball style the center map has, this is a really good opportunity for tanks, but this is also a really good avenue for a lot of different sight lines for flankers.
Yeah, of all the Legion maps, this is the one that I think lends itself the most to the Reinhardt, the Zarya, the Hanzo, maybe even the Brigitte, just going at it each other, just all the tanks just crashing into each other, which, as a tank main, I love to see. Other maps, they're a little bit more favorable to dive, but here you might see the classic Slambulance come out, and it does my heart good to see it.
All right, and looks like we will be seeing, I think we are going to be seeing variations on it, actually. It doesn't really look like they will be completely changing over just yet. Both teams have 2 DPS dealers, so this will be hopefully what they roll out with. But the compositions are very similar. Instead, we have Galaxy on the Moira and Xanax on the Ganex on the Zenyatta right now. Kel will be switching over to the Mercy. How did these support duos match up?
I think Ganex is gambling on their ability to get frags as the Zenyatta, while Galaxy as Moira gambling on that huge burst ability to heal a team that's all gathered up, like you're seeing right now.
All right, and the side of Desperados, advancing onto point right now. Cypher will get their first opening kill onto Galaxy. That's a lot of healing and damage out of the way. And the side of Core Live is slowly advancing onto the point. Sorry, already flanking in the background, driving everyone back. And, the rest of the team actually didn't even need to engage. Cypher kind of did that all by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Got a few key picks. The pressure being exerted by the rest of the team certainly played a role, but Cypher just popped off. It's hard to get that many kills and do that much damage and still be not even 40% of the way to your ult, though.
Yeah, and they are able to camp this little chokehold. There's not a lot of great options to move forward. Wolf trying to look for some picks on the side. That's like the other opportunity and other avenue they really have to engage. But right now, the defense is going to be playing very aggressively. They understand they can take this for a pretty long time. The entire side of the offense, Core Livid is playing such a aggressive defense right here, and they're going to commit the Riptire here into the Coalescence. They're actually even afraid to push through here. They're not trying to get picked at all, but that tire will soon have to be exhausted. They're going to commit it. Pills will block it with the shield, but Canex takes out Wolfer, who's going for the big flank. So despite all those ultimates that were committed, we're back in the same place.
We are only with 50% of the point already to Core Livid. So this is grinding away time that Desperados really can't afford to lose, especially because they're not gathering a lot of ults really quickly here.
Riptire will kill Canex in the background. This gives Desperados a little bit more opportunities to push in, but Badger Milk will silence Pills, who has extremely high energy, and the rest of this fight is just, dissolving the strong defense and the aggressive defense. Cypher is basically sitting on high energy the entire round. He's unstoppable.
The other person I want to give a shout out to is Ranger Jammy as Junkrat for Core Livid. Extremely good trap placements. So far, 3 times I've seen one of their traps catch somebody critical to a fight. We might be about to see a 4th they push in the same way here.
Oh man, that Gravis Surge is committed, catches 4, and that tire will kill 3. Garlic Bread, only person who can stay alive, and he's running to the point, trying to touch it to force overtime. A Dragon Strike always respawn, and unfortunately that projectile doesn't matter. Galaxy tries to get in if he can, but that's not nearly enough as we see a single possession win for the side of Core Livid.
Absolutely, and we're going to see that combo again here. But after I said it, Hanzo on the last push steps right into the trap. Extremely good trap placement. Obviously, the Graviton Surge and Riptire combo was decisive in that final fight, but it really wasn't going Desperados' way even before that. They didn't appear to have a good idea of how to break through that comp once it got established at the choke. Here on this map, where everything's always a little wider open, it's really rare that you see a sufficiently aggressive defense to hold the choke for long here. I think Desperados will have a little bit more room, and now Ultra's going to be bringing out the Pharah without a mercy. Going to be looking for an early boot pick, though.
All right, and Galaxy making the late switch just to join Ultra in disguise if he can, and now both teams will be able to move forward. Badger looking for a small push in the background. Wolfie will actually force him back, but Adelo taking out Prey for GG, and this means Desperados is actually at a disadvantage, losing their healer. Ultra manages to trade, and Wolfer in the background still gets some additional kills, but the side of Core Livid, though, taking the first fight.
And when we talked to Core Livid, they said that King of the Hill was their favorite single mode, except for Ilios. All the good news is they're not playing Ilios. Instead, they're on Lijiang, one of the 2 maps that they prefer the most. And you can see, it's obvious that they've scrimmed this a lot. It's obvious that they're really comfortable with the meta on these maps, and the specialization is showing.
Yeah, and Adelo right now just trying to stay alive, diving back and just able to get that counter dive down. The shield will prevent a lot of damage, but Ultra and Garlic Bread are going to rip through both supports. This means that the rest of the DPS players will have to try to do as much as they can alone. Wolfer will get the DMAC, but the Winston provides an additional kill, and Badger Milk still staying alive, additional with Selfer, who's just running around as mini D, but trying to get help out with any kills. Pills will get taken down, and now is just trying to sustain out the point. Badger Milk will be taken down as the stall will end at 41% for this first possession.
And Pray for GG's does get a good late stagger on Ranger Jammy there on Pharah. So Desperados, they're not done yet. They gave up 41% of the point after that first attack, but that's not unreasonable at all. Now the onus is on Core Livid to come up with a good attack. Barrage from Ranger Jammy, they're going to be looking for who to get that. We might see dueling barrages, which is always a nice fireworks show.
Yeah, of course. And Ultra playing slightly defensive up here. He really tries trying to chunking damage from afar. Adelu will take down Pray for GG's now using his Primal Rage to stay alive. And Ranger Jamie will not get a lot of damage here, but will force enough damage to force everyone back out. Cypher's Diva Bomb will catch down two. Ultra will try to get the trade here. And meanwhile, the side of poor Livid really dodging around in trying to keep that Pharah contained inside the building, not letting her really use as much space as they can. They have not taken away this point though. Transcendence will help them try to get closer. Ultra will be trying to capitalize on this. Does kill Kel in the meantime in the process, and this should be enough openings to let them come back. But Pray for GG trying to get saved by a lot of the healing that's coming out from Galaxy, but unfortunately will go down, and this fight just keeps going, and Badger Milk might have something to say about it. Ultra is still staying alive, but Badger Milk's floor spot will take down two, and now the rest of the fight should be cleaned up, but Ultra's still staying alive. He gets two more kills. He's still sustaining this. This is 69%, and the rest of the team will be trying to come back, but he ultimately will fall. But 72% for being the only person on the point is actually, quite impressive.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's a good 30-40% of the point control. That's entirely down to how well Desperados, especially Ultra, were able to just stagger it out. And now Core Livid's going to try to go for a much more aggressive defense. It's really hard to do on this map to hold the choke. It's not as convenient because the other team could just sneak around to the side like Desperados is doing right now.
Yep, and Desperados will be trying to, commit onto the point. They want to draw as much aggro they can initially. Badger Milk actually going for the deep flank in the background. We've seen him do this before. And Adelo actually will take down Pray for GG's in the process, but Ultra still staying alive though. There's not a lot of air competition. Ranger Jamie's trying to duel him, but he's just not used to Ultra. It does land a direct, trying to get a little more damage done, but Garlic Bread with the Primal Rage able to keep sustaining out this fight. Adelo tries to catch Ultra GG while he's going for the health back, but Diva Bombs will be committed. Both of them will be launched, and neither will really capture anything. And this fight is just getting sustained, much like how Desperados was able to sustain it. Side of Core Livid is still staying alive. Transcendence barely able to keep both players onto point. Galaxy will go come and float across, but trading equally both 2 for 2 here. But the side of Desperados, though, really able to sustain this fight. They know that they're able to get Cypher out of mech, but Cypher gets back into the Diva. Ultra will be trading Rocket Barrages with Roger Jamie, and Roger Jamie does get the better half of this with Ultra going down. And Core Livid, though, despite their early lead, is slowly starting to crumble. But wait, they're starting to take this back in addition, and this is just another opportunity for Pray for GG's to stay alive. This fight has swung back and forth so many ways. Wolver's still alive on point 2. There's still 2 people alive from the side of Core Livid. Sorry.
What can you say about a giant long fight like that? Just as you narrated, it was utter chaos. First, one team has more people on point, then another, then Ultra being thrown in, higgledy-piggledy, trying to get just one kill, just trying to get that tiny little advantage. It took so long, and that speaks to a combination of, I think, a little bit of panic on both teams' parts, knowing how important that fight was. It was difficult to get. I noticed that there was a little bit of target selection issues where people were getting a little scattered and shooting at different opponents at different times. But the healers on both teams were doing so well to keep everyone up.
Yeah, and this is honestly kind of ridiculous. We saw Core Livid just sustain out, and Assault was pretty close, we could say, and in some extent, King's Row was as well. Control was that real big opportunity where Core Livid really did separate themselves from Desperados. What was the big takeaway? Why is Control such a good map for this team?
So on that first control center point, I think you have to almost go point by point and see what was happening there. But to me, it speaks to just a lot more practice, a lot more comfort level. When I was watching Livid on that map, it seemed to me like they always knew exactly what they wanted to do, where they wanted to be, what they wanted to be using for their ults at what time, until that chaotic final fight. It just spoke to me of comfort zone on that map specifically.
All right, our last map of the day will be Route 66. Seeing the compositions that we saw run, we saw a lot of Pharah, a lot of, Sniper. We saw, and that's kind of the big thing also is that the diversity that's been available on the side of Core Livid. Badger Milk running a Pharah, running McCree, running Widowmaker. That's a lot of different options we can see on Route 66. Let's say, for example, we want Desperados to take this last map of the day. We talked about Wolfer before, but is there anyone else on this team we should be looking out for?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Galaxy that I'm going to be looking at. They've had a decent series so far, I'll say, but as you say, it's the flexibility that you really need to look out for. So who is it going to be that's going to step up and pick one hero and just do it as well as they can? Right now, Galaxy has been having a really good time on Mercy. Is it always going to be the Mercy they want to bring, or are they going to get a little more exotic with their hero choices? We did see Galaxy go on to Lucio a little bit earlier. I would like to see a little bit more experimentation because, I mean, they're down 0-2 to Livid. This is the time to pull out the stuff that you've scrimmed once or twice you think you're pretty okay with. It's going to surprise the other team.
All right. So hypothetical composition right now, looking at our Route 66. First point is pretty hard to take because of the high ground around Big Earls, but transitioning that to the second stage, where we see a lot more high ground in the street space. What is the best composition in this meta right now to really run? Are we going to prioritize using Brigade on the first point really to build up the armor advantage for second point, or are our teams going to be still sticking with the double sniper compositions?
My gut feel is that we're probably going to see double sniper. One comp that I've seen a lot, both on a few maps, not just this, is a double sniper comp with Orisa as the main tank, where the Orisa holds on the low ground, maybe with one support to keep them up, while two snipers go onto high ground at different areas so they can get different lines of fire down the main line of approach. I think that's something you might see more on Streets phase if it gets there and if there's time to do switches. It's a comp that I really like to watch when it comes off well, though, because it looks so simple, but it's so hard to push into.
Yeah, of course. And now looking back at Core Livid up for the series, but if you want to play it for map differential, this last map is almost as important. It means there's between 3-0, right? 3 plus 3 points and then plus 1 point. How do they want to close this out right now? They have a lot of key players on this team, but if there's one person who's going to shut out, who's going to be the key player and the crux for this defense, who is it going to be?
I think it's Jammy. We've been saying their names so often for the high IQ plays. They've been switching to so many different things. By keeping an eye on what Ranger Jammy is doing, you get a good idea of what the composition's main idea is.
All right, so let's watch as the teams load into Route 66. And yeah, Big Earl's obviously being the big, the big gas station that's sitting around. And this obviously the first point that this defense will really have, this first high ground control that they really have. What is the meta really turn into? Do you defend this big area right here, or do you try to attack earlier? It almost seems like, with the more room that you give compositions, especially on this first bend, it could become problematic if they're able to snowball it.
To me, the name of the game is being able to have two good defenses. So yes, you can hold Big Earls, but you can't let the payload push very far past this hairpin turn right at the start. If you do that and you lose the team fight, you're not going to be able to get back onto it for a second fight except as a desperate stagger. So while high ground is important as ever, you want to keep that payload on that curve as long as you can.
That Core Livid will be playing offense versus Ranger Jammy onto that Hanzo. And this is another different pick, that we've seen. He's had quite a lot of a lot of different preferences for different maps, really adapting to what the enemy team is sending here. Graviton, and it looks like only the side of Desperados will be running that Graviton Surge Dragonsight combination. Adalo and Cypher will be rolling out in a Reinhardt Hog composition, which we don't really see that combination as much.
You don't, but the interesting thing to me on the Desperado side is that they're bringing a Tracer with the Reinhardt Zarya. It's going to be interesting to see what Wolfer's intending to do. Is it going to be trying to flank behind the attack through one of the two flank routes that are easily accessible, or is it going to be a defense against the offensive dive?
Yeah, and right now, immediately, we are seeing Cypher try to poke around for the backline. He's waiting for someone to step out of position. Actually, he's probably going to call out Wolfer. Pulls down Prey GG, and he actually immediately kills the Zenyatta in the backline. Badger Milk is able to stay alive against the brunt of Wolfer right there, who tries to spray him down to get the trade. But in the meantime, though, Desperados is forced to drop back. They lost to Zenyatta, and Adalo somehow ends up on the higher ground again, pushing them all the way down, and they're just backpedaling for room.
But they are going to be holding out long enough to get Zen back, so they are going to be able to have another 6v6, now 6v5 team fight onto the point. Excellent. That was a great second hold by Desperados, I'll say.
Ultra is able to get 3 picks in a row with his Hanzo. This is just meaning this is exactly how strong new Hanzo is with the amount of damage and amount of headshots he can really put out. Makes him very strong for, you know, tight positions where he doesn't really have to aim as hard. But in the meantime, though, Desperados able to get the initial lead. They will be burning the reds to bring Wolfer back if possible. Badgermo tries to go for a shot, unable to really connect. And now the ultimate meters are very high for Desperados. While they don't have Graviton Surge yet, both DPS have their abilities, and this could be a good opportunity for this defense.
And you got to think that right now Desperados is feeling real good about themselves. Even better now that Ultra manages to pick on Badger Milk. They've won their first team fight. They've still got to hold for about 3 more team fights before they can be secure here, though.
Dragon Strike will go out, trying to catch them in transition if they can. Pills actually narrowly dodges out, but in the meantime, the Earth Shatter by Garlic Bread kicks 4 and knocks Kill out of the way. Actually, Kill gets kicked out by Ultra, and the body ragdolls away. But in the meantime, Ultra, though, finding these picks very early on. We saw him start to pop off last map, you know, when he was the big bear keeping everyone alive, and it seems like he's just found another switch.
And Jammy just got staggered extremely badly. We're going to see that again. That Earth Shatter was amazing from Garlic Bread. Caught 4 people in the arc, and immediately the kills started coming. Almost as important, though, the Roadhog ulted, and it was already a lost fight because didn't expect that Earth Shatter to get as much value as it did. And now the switches come out.
Ultra catches another kill onto Badger Milk, and this time he has the Dragon Strike for the Graviton Surge, and Transcendence is committed, but not able to keep up 2 teammates, meaning that it's effectively useless as this fight will be lost again. And yeah, Core Livid, though, with this composition, is really struggling to push through this very tanky defense.
And if anything, Desperados might have used that combo a little bit too early. They had managed to hold out for another 10-15 seconds poking before using that combo. And they might have taken it down to only 1 more team fight. Not going to matter, though, because it looks like Core Livid's going to be getting some good payload distance out of this.
Yeah, and Wolfer will manage to take down Canex in order to delay this a little more. There is actually no man advantage. It's 4v4 right now, but the defense will have a slightly longer walk. Badger
Wolfer's going in for the pulse bomb
already, and Adelo actually gets stuck with the pulse bomb, but the shield comes a little late, but will prevent them from actually chunking them down. Badger takes down Pills in the process, meaning there'll be no Zarya Cypher with the high energy shield. Is really trying to chunk down Garlic Bread. Ultra in the meantime trying to find another pick they can do to change the fight. Graviton Surge takes them bold, and Transcendence will be wearing out, so that's almost maximum effect as Ranger Jammy and Badger clean up this fight. And despite a strong hold, you were right, they probably blew their load a little too early here.
I think so. And you know, the mistakes, target selection on the pulse bomb, you had a Rhine there being shielded, being Zarya bubbled, being pocketed. That pulse bomb was never likely to get a kill on Adelo. I would have preferred to see them go for the healer, but at this point, what's done is done. They are in a pretty good position to hold here in Streets phase. They've got multiple ults already. Pills is about to have Graviton Surge come up, and they've got the Dragons ready. I think with as much time as they bled off in point A, they're still in a good position, Desperados are.
Yeah, Wolfer right now playing keep away with Badger really trying to make sure he doesn't get too much room into the backlines. Ultra still finding some clear shots as, you know, Adelo has to keep the shield down.
Pills almost has it.
More aggressive to really be using it. And yeah, we're looking exactly at it right now. 2% away, but Garlic Bread will be going down to Cypher, and yeah, the Dragon Strike actually comes down to try to catch as many people as possible. They're actually forced away from escape, and Ranger Jammy will catch Ultra on the way out. But in the meantime, though, with the defense collapsing, there's no shields to protect them as Ranger Jammy picks up a huge streak on Hanzo.
That early kill on Garlic Bread was absolutely key. Because of that, Desperados correctly never felt able to use any of their ults, and so that was a Streets phase right there, that early pick on Garlic Bread. That said, they are going to have probably 6 ults here for the first fight on phase C, and Livid's only going to have 2.5 minutes to push.
And ultimates are starting to catch up. Cypher is at 63%, so he will be able to potentially build this up in the next fight, and it depends on the patient of Pills right now. Pills should be looking for a Graviton Surge. They want to get the wipe early if they can. and there looks like there's no damage in the backline, even though Badger Milk won't blink for it. Commits the pulse bomb, and in the meantime, he is going to be looking for some extra avenues. Gravity Surge does go down, but Transcendence is still alive, and it is Transcendence in addition to pulse bomb. Oh man, that pulse bomb Dragon Strike combination is more damage than Transcendence can heal as they're able to chunk down the attackers. Both tanks will be going down, even though trades are happening. The side of Desperados able to hold and able to stay alive. A minute 52 remaining. The Dragon Strike will come out to spawn, probably as a momentum starter, just to zone them off the card a little. Core Livid actually has control of the card again.
Absolutely, and the key there was, I think, the pulse bomb also coming out into that all combo. Great patience by Pills to wait. They were doing a good job of attacking Core Livid was while being separated. The first time they got 4 people in the same area, the Graviton Surge came out. Great ult discipline. So as we go here into probably the final 2 attacks for Core Livid, Seifer's got the Graviton Surge, they've got the Earth Shatter. They may not even need to wait for jamming.
Yeah, but Jamie has been such an impactful part of this team, and Desperados recognizing the situation they're in. They're in 2 fights left territory, and if the fight doesn't occur in the next few seconds, they will only have 1 opportunity to stay alive. Pulse Bomb is committed, but Adelo will be saved by that Zarya bubble. And now Cypher getting that high charge will try to stay alive and will not try to be nuked down if he can. Dragon Strike actually comes out, catching most of the team, and it forces them, actually divides both sides of Core Livid in half. And yeah, Badger Milk actually takes down Wolfer, and this is a terrible position right here. Grabbing the Surge forces out the Transcendence, but the side of Core Livid doesn't even care. They're able to split up the front line from the back line and win fights in both areas.
That Graviton Surge was almost more important for keeping the back line and the front line separated of Desperados to enable the kill to happen on the front line first instead of the back line. Not something you usually see, and now we're about to see a desperation stall here. They want to hold out until overtime.
Yeah, the Earth Shatters are committed, and Wolfer is just trying to stay alive, just trying to keep touching the cart if he can, but there's not enough place and not enough space at all to stop this. And Core Livid, after nearly being held on point A, cruises past point B and C.
And that's a disappointing result for Desperados, I'll say. After that masterful point A defense, you had to think they were thinking of holding on Streets phase, but on Streets, they just got bullied. A single pick on Streets phase was enough to let them all the way through. Point C struggled a little, but eventually the ult coordination issues, I think, doomed them. Once more, we saw Tracer go for the stick on a pocketed Rhine instead of a more vulnerable Squishy. And once again, the Pulse Bomb didn't get enough value. So it's target prioritization again. It's one of those things that in the 4th map of a 4-map series starts to get a little ragged because you just get tired.
Yeah, and they were able to bring it down to 7 seconds, so there's still time on the clock. And because it's under, it's such a small period of time, it really doesn't really matter. If they do push in the cart into overtime, they will get that additional 1 minute, so it'll be 1 minute to 1 minute 7 seconds. But this is potentially going to be the biggest pick of the day. Badger Milk switching off onto the Sombra. This is a character we have not seen them run, and we have seen a lot of Overwatch late teams, Fusion and Shock, both running Sombra during the strength of Sombra on this map. It's a lot of health packs for them to control, a lot of really easy ways to kind of hide back into the defense and recuperate again. How are the side of Desperados going to react to this pick?
I think with looking at the heroes that they've got right now, they're going to have to do their best to just ignore the Sombra and not feed her a lot of ult charge. They've got Zarya bubbles, they've got a Rhine shield. I think the name of the game is going to be just damage limitation once they recognize what Badger Milk is doing here. You don't have to kill the Sombra first. You don't maybe not even have to kill her at all. Just focus on pushing the payload and getting the kills.
All right, and Badger Milk already in the background, just trying to find some more information, get some harass down if possible. This slow push is slowly going to be taken apart. Badger Milk has made himself aware to the other team, and the other team right now starting to just slowly move in. Desperados really trying to find a little bit more room. Cypher, though, stopping them trying to really push through Mega Health Pack. That denies a lot of vision from them. And now we'll be trying to go into the flank side. Sees Galaxy, actually grabs him. Pulls Galaxy down, will not be able to get the kill, but Badger Milk does find a pick nonetheless on a flanking Wolfer, and now Garlic Bread is left all alone as Core Livid gets a great split thanks to a huge flank from Sephiroth.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough because this composition from Desperados doesn't have a lot of specifically counter Sombra action. If they had brought a McCree, that Sombra would be in a heap of trouble. But they're going to have to make do with what oh, Wolfer's going to switch to McCree right as I say that. So that is 100% an attempt to counter Badgermilk on Sombra. So keep an eye on that duel, Wolfer versus Sombra. Who's going to see who first and get the drop on whom?
Yeah, Garlic Bread is able to punch out Seifer, who pushed out a little too far. Ranger Jammy, in the meantime, looking for a huge tire. Actually gets a call out from his teammates, so they know exactly where they are. The tire will circle around, but of course it will get taken out by Wolfer, but it buys the defense enough time. With the majority of the team split off, they were able to, find another trade to keep the man advantage on point right now, as the rest of the defense will slowly be able to come back in. Seifer is alive. Valkyrie is going to be popping Galaxy just to give them the additional healing that they need to really push in. Earthshatter gets used, but it will be blocked by Garlic Bread's shield. And Semper actually goes once again for the flank, and this time actually catches out Pray for GG's. And in the meantime, with the supports down, the side of Livid is able to split Desperados effectively. They're able to take apart their team fighting and make sure they're fighting in man disadvantages all over the field. And what another great wipe to bring this down to minute 56.
And this has got to be extremely frustrating. But the danger here for Desperados, they're about to have the ult combo they love, but Badgermilk has EMP. At this point, if Badgermilk recognizes the ult status, which it probably should do, Badgermilk is 100% waiting to see when they're about to unleash the ult combo and gonna try to EMP into it and preempt it.
Yeah, and this could be big, especially if you can get a kill on there. But Pray for GG's kills Kel initially, but this combo is still alive to be denied, and they will deny it. Badgermilk actually kills Pray for GG almost immediately, and the combination cannot come out. Kills is not able to get a Graviton Surge at all, and now the side of honestly, Livid commits all their ultimates to really wipe the fight and stop it from happening. That may have been a little bit of an overcommittal considering they won the fight, but they bring it down to just a minute, and Earthshatter is still an option. But
yeah, they were excited.
Yep,
they got excited. The problem is that now Desperados still has all 5 ults because the EMP came out early instead of just early enough. It's a good problem to have because you won the team fight, but now Desperados is going to be able to unleash the ult combo almost at will.
Yeah, the Graviton Surge will lead into the Dragon Strike right onto Big Earls. No tanks available, no way to really negate that damage without committing, an ultimate, and Canex was so close to it, but just did not have enough opportunity to build it. In the meantime, the Desperados will be pushing through with 27 minutes remaining. They should be able to clear this point, and it doesn't look like the side of Portland will have enough room to really get on. They're going to be able to get initial stall. Ranger Jamie will take down Ultra, and they're just going to get there right before the point touches. Canex actually burns Transcendence in addition and kills. Will be going for the rest, but Earthshatter is committed on the other end. Barfred tries to get the charge. It will kill Kel, although will not get much more Transcendence from Paris. We're praying for GG will be enabled just to help them capture the point, but Ranger Jamie staying alive in the background, doing a lot of damage, and Adel coming back, just swinging his hammer, trying to find a pick to really drive them back to kills. Instead, we'll keep everyone alive to push the point. And now Streets phase, 2 minutes 23 seconds left on the clock here. It's enough room, but Canex gets to start early with a great pick on Wolfer.
Livid really wanted to be done just here. They weren't able to hold, but what they were able to do was prompt a lot of ultimates coming out from Desperados. It looked like Desperados was going to be able to start the Streets phase with 4 ults. Now they have 0. That's a good tactical use of stalling by Livid, because now they've got a huge ult advantage to defend Streets phase with.
Badgermilk once again going into the background, sees Pray for GG's and knows he can EMP them and immediately knock them down. He goes down almost immediately, and without abilities, Garlic Bread and Wolfer are left alone. Garlic Bread will get the push from Seifer all the way back to spawn, and that means the Seifer will be forced to walk all the way back to his team. But in the meantime, though, there is still a man advantage. Wolfer does get hacked, will not be able to teleport out of the way, and Badgermilk is able to stagger him just as his teammates recover. Ultra gets the trade, allowing his team to push forward even more. Ultra with the slight advantage will be able to move. The Gravity Surge does get used right into the Dragon Strike, but right now Ultra, he gets 4 kills, but Ranger Jamie is able to trade out 2. This means that they're only able to keep 2 people on the cart, 3 maximum, and the car will still move forward. But a minute left with Badgermilk alive means that the side of Livid has 1 more fight opportunity.
And because of that late Junkrat tire, Livid's going to be able to have a slight numbers advantage as they begin this stall here. It might be enough to let them stall it out all the way, I still like Desperados' chances of getting to Part B, but the Junkrat Tower gave Livid a chance.
Valkyrie does get used to give Kel additional healing to stay up in the air, giving them the high ground healing advantage as well as the vision war. And Canex in the background able to deter Wolfer, who is not able to return and kill. Spray for GG will be able to take care of Prince Flanker on Badger Milk. And the Earthshatter once again gets countered by Garlic Bread. Seafer tries to get the return, but Earthshatter is able to take them out almost immediately. And this means that the side of Desperados will be able to take the fight advantage thanks to some great Reinhardt play.
So Garlic Bread and Adelo both used their Earth Shatters. One got blocked, the other one didn't. Garlic Bread's didn't. He got 3 kills off of it, and he got the point. That's just how Earth Shatter duels go sometimes. As we go in here to point C, Pills is trying to charge that ult really quickly using the last of their energy from the prior fight, just being a little bit speculative with the right clicks. As we set up though, Badger Milk does have EMP again, probably going to be able to stop at least one push here early on.
All right, the Riptire is looking for a target and gets taken out by Ultra, but the EMP will go down as well. But unfortunately, not able to catch any squishy targets. Pray for GG staying out of line here, and they are able to get a counter kill here. This EMP may have triggered a little bit too much aggression on the side of Core Livid. Core Livid now being forced back. Gingerbread getting so much free ultimate charge and damage are quickly building up the advantage up to Earthshatter. Seaford takes out Pray for GG's for a return, meaning that the res will have to be committed to bring back both healers. And in the meantime, the charge comes out from Adelo, just trying to divert attention. And in the meantime, though, both teams are trading, really using their offensive play. They're playing aggressive. Earthshatter catches down Seafair, but unfortunately, no kill off the charge. And that means that the rest of Core Livid able to capitalize on the lack of damage really being done and trying to take advantage of their tanks' luckiness to get out of the way and stay alive to their advantage. Seafer will be trading at ultra high energy now for the next push, and ultimates on the clock. Badger Milk at 56%, but Graviton Surge and Earthshatter both online.
Got one more fight, and Core Livid knows that if they win this one more fight, they're going to take a 3-0 record out of the match. We're going to see an Alt Storm. Just accept that this is going to be a really high fireworks level fight, and just enjoy the view.
Graviton Surge comes down, but Earthshatter will be able to trade. Ultra unfortunately will take down Tia with his Dragon Strike, and in the meantime, Wolfer is taking down Kells, and this just gives them the small advantage that they needed. That Dragon Strike comes out from the side of Badger Milk, but unfortunately not able to grab anything at all. All the side of Core Livid is going to be able to do is really stall out the effort. They're going to try to keep as many people as they can onto the points, maybe delay time, maybe potentially get a comeback miracle run, and Kel staying alive just long enough to do it, but it's not going to be enough. That Hanzo Graviton combination is just way too strong, too much damage, allows them to clean up that fight.
You knew it was coming. You knew we were going to just see. You know, if you're in the middle of a fight like that, it's hard to tell which end is up, let alone where the enemy is, because of all the particle effects going off on your screen. These two teams are clearly, King of the Hill aside, extremely close. They've all gone to multiple different sequences of attack. So I think even though this could be a 2-1, it could be a 3-0, both of these teams have to feel like they're about the equal of the other.
Yeah, and 7 seconds could mean a lot, especially in escort maps. It does dictate a lot of the tempo here. That means 7 seconds more, you get to push the initial point. Some of the freeway that you get, it really means that with that distance uniform, you're really going to need a lot more time to get even further to really build up a lead. Compositions don't look like they're really changing. Badger Milk will be running the Sombra again on defense. It was a very strong defensive tool. It caught out Pray for GG's very frequently early on, but towards the end, the side of Desperados really started adapting to the Sombra's position. They were immediately recognizing where the Sombra was going, and that's kind of really was the big turning point for them. Is this going to happen again? Are they going to be ready for the Sombra?
I think they're ready. I think they're expecting it. On TMs like this, where they both have 1 minute or barely more than 1 minute, it comes down to who can push the other team off the point during overtime. And so you're going to be looking at crowd control ults like, I think Seafer on Roadhog going to be key. If you can get Whole Hog and sweep the point clear in overtime, that's going to be a successful defense from Livid.
All right, Ranger Jambi already opens it up on praise for GG's. The Reds will turn the fight almost immediately, but yeah, it looks like the defense here on high ground is really trying to punish Garlic's big push, but Ultra using the room that's been created, trying to find picks in the backline, and he's going to be able to hit down Adelo with his back turn. So despite the high ground positioning initially, good dive and good split focus did give the side Desperados a very, very clear point A.
Vicious stagger on C4 there. That's going to hurt a lot. Wow. As they go on and start looking for point A here, again, it's going to come down to who can hold an overtime, and I think that overtime hold's going to have to be in Street's phase.
Badger Walk will actually make it onto the point, especially with Adelo in addition. This is just to stall, it looks like. They're just trying to commit as many ultimates as they can, and unfortunately the point will be taken, but overtime is still alive, and with 5 people still alive on the side of
C4 switches to Diva. I'm startled by that, to be honest.
Yeah, he's giving up a lot of ultimate charges that he was able, as well as a lot of the pick potentially he was able to get. But Garlic Break capitalizing off of Badger Milk, who was so strong earlier in this series, is really just kind of getting caught out way too often. And now his team man down, not a lot of utility to really deal with Ultra. They have some tanks, they have Ranger Jammy, but Ranger Jammy's aim is a little curved. It's not going to be very easy to take down a flying target. And Wolf in the background just creating more and more trouble for Canex, really trying to force out, and unfortunately we'll have to recall back and will not be able to harass anymore. But their tank line from the side of Core Livid is able to stay alive. Badger Milk makes this change onto Widowmaker, trying to stay alive and really pick out Ultra out of the air, but Ranger Jam gets the opening kill. Ultra will trade down the DPS, meaning it's healing for DPS, less healing on the side of the offense. They will not be able to push in, but Wolfer trying to change that up immediately, teams up with Ultra to really get a pick on Kel with the Mercy. Diva Bomb will go up. Transcendence tries to keep everyone alive. Badger Milk is still alive, but will get traded out by Ultra, who's just able to find so much room, and despite all this, the fight is still extremely even.
Keep your eye on Adelu, who's about to get Primal Rage, might be able to push everyone off of the point.
Yeah, and he's still staying alive right now. Transcendence will be committed. Primal Rage does get burst out by Adelo, buying so much time as Seaper and Ranger Jammy and Kel both able to return to the point. So even though this fight was very, very down, very minuscule, down to 2 people at one point, teams are filtering back onto the point to stay alive, and Badger Milk once again gets the opening, but Wolfer back in the flank position where no one was expecting him, taking out some targets. And in the meantime, Seaper still not able to get into the Diva mech, really just has to try to find some targets. Ultra will clean it up without having to worry about the defense matrix, and without too much tankiness available, Desperados taking that fight in overtime.
And Ultra just popped off on Farah. 3 kills. That's so critical. Started off with a barrage that I'm not sure if Livid saw coming, and now they're all the way on to point C in a 1-minute push. Absolutely heartbreaking for Core Livid. They had to feel like they had this.
Yeah, of course, and Galaxy staying on to point, just allowing the rest of the team to make a big change, and they're going into tank compositions right now, trying to prevent as much damage as possible, and in the meantime, still looking for the big advantage they can build with that Graviton Surge. Adelo trying to knock them off a cart, but Ultra does punish for that instead, and Ranger Jammy going in solo into the backline, trying to do as much as he can, actually reflect some damage into Pray for GGs to kill him, and Badger Milk will open this up as an opportunity. The defense is able to get kills swarm back, and the offense is not able to break this choke point at all. Pills trying to stay alive to buy some more time onto the card, but Badger Milk comes in with the CC bomb and Korea and able to take this fight. Pills and Ultra still dodging around, staying alive, but overtime just too short for them to really take any steps off. And Desperados stuck in this little chokehold here, but a minute, and they were able to advance it almost past the start of point C. That is a huge result.
That's so impressive, and it's so tilting to be on the wrong side of. But now what Desperados can say is, okay, minute 7 seconds. We're going to have at least minimum 3 team fights in overtime. We have to win 1 of 3 team fights and we win the map. So that's when you start thinking about ults that can change the course of a team fight like that by themselves. That's when you start thinking of, maybe Maze Blizzard. That's one option. Again, you start thinking of, what else can we do? Is it just the same old ult combo? Or are we going to be thinking a little differently? Right now, it looks like Desperados is going to dance with the one what brung them and use what they're comfortable with. I think that, this is a tough one. This Core Livid, now they're showing Pirate Ship. Audacious. I think it's time for a desperate strat like that, but I don't like the Pirate Ship pushing into a comp like this. I think it's going to get them maybe point A by surprise, but I think it's just too easy to counter.
All right, and Canex right now on the Bastion, they're running solo healer through this. They want to get as much damage as possible using the Bastion turret form to really burst through as much shield and create room for their picks. Badger Milk and Ranger Jammy here, both playing snipers. They're going to be looking to get some picks and start this off immediately. 53 seconds on this clock. Remember, this is just free room right now. What's really going to count is after they get through this bend. And Badger Milk already looking for the side look. Garlic Bread puts down his shield for just a little more, and the Bastion is coming in to roll through, trying to chunk down a lot of the shields of damage. Seaper tries to catch out Wolfer actually, but not able to. And Ultra takes down Badger Milk, so that pick potential is all of a sudden gone. And despite all this, Wolfer still staying alive. El Solo alone by himself in Mega Health Pack. He's given his team the opportunity to push in. Desperados pushing it onto that Bastion composition. This is exactly what you don't want. You want to be in control of the push, and it looked like Wolfer's Brigade just in the backline, just causing enough of a distraction to force him off the cart.
And you said it, it's distraction, because multiple heroes went into that lower tunnel with Brigitte, and eventually they got the kill, but the distraction was such that the poor Bastion was left without his peel. And without that peel, eventually the Bastion went down, and Desperados were able to win this team fight.
Yeah, and Desperados, though, will avoid a very desperate Dragon Strike from the side of Ranger Jammy to really stop this here. Counter Dragon Strike will come out, and Badger Milk will be caught in it. And yeah, after a very, very close, series in general, the side of Desperados gets their first win in Game 4, making the overall map score for this series 2-1-1. And yeah, we just have to, pay tribute to these players here. All of them went off, and Ultra especially got a very, very clean, beginning of the series kill. And he's kind of the guy that we were looking to step up, right? We talked about Wolfer very early on, but Ultra in the last two maps really started bringing back, and it was his offensive, firepower that really gave his team this ability to match up.
9 minutes objective time for Garlic Bread. Main tanks, sometimes it's a less heralded role. They also serve who stand and wait on the point sometimes. But it is a little bit, I do admit to being satisfied that Desperados was able to take that last map. These two teams are so close in skill level that you would have hate to seen it end 3-0, right?
Yeah, of course. And it would be tough for end 3-0, but it does not. And that is the end of our night tonight. And this is our edition of the Coral Brawl featuring Core Livid and Desperados. Core Livid will take the win 2-1-1. Mook, how was your night today? We just watched a lot of exciting matches. What was your big takeaway from all this?
My big takeaway, the meta is still Zarya plus Hanzo equals one team fight. And it's hard to get away from that conclusion when at least a dozen times over these 4 maps, that's exactly what we saw. And it's, for me, a welcome change after Dive for 6 seasons in a row. But it's fun to watch. It's frustrating to play, I think, is my takeaway.
And for sure, I mean, we're seeing a lot of this type of Overwatch now. Overwatch Pit is still commencing right now. So if you guys, have time to check out that tournament in the next few days, go ahead and definitely look at some of the top tier gameplay that we have from the tier 2 scene. A lot of academy teams participating. The big notables today, actually, Fusion University, the winners of the NA contenders, actually dropped down to losers bracket after losing against Goats, who runs the primarily triple tank, triple support composition. This is obviously a meta where a lot of different things can happen, and it's kind of crazy how diverse it is, like you said, after a bunch of Dive. But that was a great set of games for us. And Mook, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Mookaikuboo on Twitter. And it's but really the thing that you should be doing if you're interested is going below the Twitch broadcast here, clicking on the Discord link to broadcast.gg. We broadcast as many Overwatch tournaments and other games as we can get our hands on. And if you want to learn how to cast, that Discord is also a great resource for that.
All right. And I couldn't say it better. I'm Scribe. You can find me on Twitter at ScribeOW with a 1 instead of an I. And, awesome games tonight. And without any further words, thank you guys for watching. And I hope you guys tune back in tomorrow. I think we also have games going on as well. So please remember to follow the Broadcast GG channel here. And I think we do have 2 other channels, Broadcast GG 2 and 3, depending on how many casts we got going on at the same time. But in any case, guys, good night. And hope to see you guys on the river.
You're the